Hi, welcome along to Barbecue Life UK, the only YouTube channel dedicated to cooking on the Aldi Kamado. So I've had the Aldi Kamado for about 15 months now. I was able to pick mine up second hand last winter off a guy who just wasn't using it very often. So I've not had it the full 2 years like some people have, or 3 years if they got it the year before. About 15 months where I use it most weeks because I barbecue all year round. For myself and for the channel. So I've got that, and I've got a Webermaster Touch. So I've got a video coming up in the next few weeks where I'm going to talk about the differences between the two. But today we're just going to talk about what I like and what I don't like about the Aldi Kamado. So the first thing that completely blew my mind with the Kamado is how fuel efficient it is. So you put your charcoal on the bottom, you light it, you do your cook, shut all your vents down at the end, and when you go back to it next time round, you've got all that charcoal that's gone out at the end of your cook, and it's all still usable. And you would not believe the amount of charcoal that is left in the bottom after you've done your cook, even on a low and slow cook, where you can run this cooker for sort of 12 hours, which is unbelievable. So yeah, fuel efficiency is number one on my love for this piece of kit. So the second thing that I want to talk about that I love is the versatility of this particular cooker. So you can do everything from a 12-hour plus low and slow, like I said before, right up to hot and fast, where you can get this up to sort of 400, 450 degrees and more if you wanted to do things like smash burgers and pizzas. Pizzas are my love. I haven't put any on the channel yet because I'm still not 100% happy with the quality of where I want to get them to before I want to share my recipes with you. But this piece of kit is a magnificent piece of kit for cooking pizzas, and the other end and everything in between. So I've cooked low and slow on here. I think my longest is probably 8 hours that I've done, because I'm not cooking big pieces of meat. There's 5 of us, 2 of which are semi-vegetarian, so they might eat it, they might not. So I don't tend to cook big old slabs of meat, which is why I'm not into the 12-hour plus. But it will sit steady at a low and slow temperature for 12 hours. I don't have to go back and fill up with any more charcoal because it's so efficient, which is the difference between that and like a kettle, where you would need to keep feeding that with charcoal to keep that low and slow. So yeah, as I say, I've cooked lots of different things. I'm going to put some pictures up on the screen so you can see different bits. So the third thing I love about the Aldi Kamado is the fact that you can just set it and leave. So once you've got your temperatures dialed in, which can take a bit of time to do if you're brand new, but once you've got used to it and once you've got them settled in at your temperature, you don't have to touch anything. It will stay rock steady for hours and hours and hours. Slight fluctuation, maybe 20 degrees either way. If you get a bit of wind, it can move a little bit more, but 99% of the time it is set and leave. Dial it into that temperature and it will just sit rock steady. So you can go out for the day and leave it. You can do overnight cooks and leave it, and you haven't got to worry. So now we're going to move on to the things that I don't like. I called the video hate, but I don't hate this cooker. These are just little pet peeves that annoy me a little bit, some of which are down to myself because I've not done what I needed to do beforehand and it's harder to rectify, some of which are design issues. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way that the deflector works inside the Kamado. So if you forget to put your smoking wood in and you've got all of your grill grates and your deflector in, it is a right pain in the arse to get your wood in afterwards. So you've pretty much got to take the whole assembly out. So you've got to get your heat-proof gloves on, take the whole assembly out, put your wood in and put your whole assembly back in. It can be a right pain in the bum compared to a divide and conquer situation where you can take out half a grill, you can take out half a deflector and drop something in should you need to. On here you've got to remove the whole lot. So the next thing that annoys me about this cooker is a design issue. So the top daisy wheel vent doesn't always stay in position when you open and close the top dome. So it's not as tight as it needs to be. Now, my plan at some point is to have the time to be able to take it apart and see where I can get some sort of spring in there. And if I can do that, then I'll make sure that I share the video with you guys. But what it tends to be, especially if I've got the top vent completely open, like if I'm cooking pizzas, when I move the dome, it moves from where I've got it set. So I have to make note in my head of where it was beforehand, so that then I can go back to putting it back where it needed to be once I've opened and closed it. The whole daisy wheel piece on the top isn't too bad. Sometimes it will still flip open. So that is a little pet peeve, that if you're opening and closing, that top vent can move. And when I was brand new, it did catch me out a few times where I've opened it, checked what I'm doing, given my pork butter spritz maybe, come back to it, and the vent's closed because it moved and everything's gone out, and I've got to start lighting the charcoal, hoping that the meat hasn't gone too long without any heat and things like that. So it is something that you need to keep an eye on if you decide to get this cooker. So the last thing that I don't like, or pet peeve, involves all Kamados in general. It's not a design flaw, it is just the nature of the beast of what they are, and that is they are bloody heavy. So manoeuvring them about can be a right pain. So I'm lucky enough, I've got my shack and mine sits there on its plinth up nice and high because I'm quite tall, and that sits there and doesn't move. But if I wanted to take it somewhere, if I was going to a mate's house and we was having a big cookout, then moving that is really not easy. So it took two of us to lift it into my garden. I've got my driveway's down about 4 foot lower than my garden. It took two of us to get that lifted up into my garden, and then it took me a fair while to struggle building it up bit by bit to get it up on its plinth. It is not a movable piece of kit. And even before I had the plinth, moving it around in the shack, where it's so top heavy, it wants to topple. So it is on casters and it will roll about, but if you hit a stone on the floor, or if you're rolling it over decking in between your deck boards, then wheels do want to dig in, and you need to be really careful that it doesn't go over, because you're going to be heartbroken if you've spent £350 on a ceramic egg and you tip it over. So it's most definitely something to bear in mind, that although they are on wheels, they are not massively movable. They are really heavy. I mean, if you're super strong, you might want to pick it up yourself. And I have given it a little lift and twist to make sure that it's in its cradle properly, but you don't want to be moving it far by yourself, not at all. So bear in mind that they are really top heavy and they do have a tendency to topple. When I first had mine, I nearly had mine over, and I think I'd have cried if that happened. So make sure you bear that in mind if you're moving them about. So if you like what we're doing here at Barbecue Life UK, then please do make sure you hit that subscribe button. Remember that we are the only channel dedicated to cooking on the Aldi Kamado. Make sure you like the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. If there's anything, any questions you want to ask, you can put it in the comment underneath. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, just search Barbecue Life UK, and you can ask me any questions you want there. As I say, make sure you subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.